In the last video, we had gotten this problem set up. Well, this is kind of a messy looking angle, so let's just go ahead and simplify that angle. Well, it's really a fraction plus a fraction on the top. So you could go ahead and work with that by finding your common denominator, which would be 6. So multiply the bottom by 6 and the top by 6, and we get this. Now you can go ahead and add that together, adding the top together, adding the bottom together. Now you could go ahead and distribute through. Instead of dividing by 3, you multiply by 1/3. So then we get our angle when you distribute through your 1/3 to be this. And by the way, the cube root of 8 simplifies down to just be 2. So we've simplified our formula down. Now all we want to do is go ahead and plug in our different values of k, which are right here. So we're going to start out by plugging in 1, or 0. Plug in 0 here. The 12 pi times 0 would drop out. And so you'd still have your 2 in front. That would drop out. You get 11 pi over 18. And then minus sine of 11 pi over 18. That's your answer in trig form. Now if you wanted the rectangular form, all you do is you just type this in just as you see it on your calculator. You'd want to be in the radian mode though. The reason we're doing that is because an 11 pi over 18 is not one you're supposed to have memorized from your unit circle. So when you type that into your calculator, 2 parentheses, just type it in as you see it here on your calculator and you will get this. So now we want to go ahead and plug in 1 to our formula. Well, we get a 1 here, we get a 12 pi plus an 11 pi. Well, that's a 23 pi then over your 18. Once again, your angle for your sine will be the exact same. Once again, it's not an angle you're supposed to have memorized, so you just type it into your calculator. And then we want to come back and plug in a 2. Well, 2 times 12 is 24 pi, plus your 11 pi is a 35 pi over 18 for each one of your angles. So here are your 3 answers in trig form. And then over here are your 3 answers in rectangular form. Well, here we want to go ahead and solve this equation. And this would be a good one to have show up on a test. Well, we need to go ahead and solve this for x. To get x by itself, you got to get rid of the 9i, so subtract the 9i. Then you got to get rid of the squaring. So to undo your squaring, you take your square root. In other words, we're really just looking for the square root of a negative 9i. So that's set up just like our last problem. So the first thing you'd want to do is go ahead and take your negative 9i and graph that, which means you're going left and right 0 and you're going down 2 or 9. So in other words, you will get a point just down here. Once again, your r is your distance you come down or out from the origin, which is obviously only 9 units. N is the root you're taking. We're taking the second root or square root. K then would just be 0 and 1. Your angle going all the way down here. Now you can use degrees or radians for this, doesn't make a difference. We've used radians in the last couple, so let's go ahead and switch over to degrees. So this would be a 270-degree angle. Now when you're dealing with your formula that you have up here, if you want to go ahead and not use radians but degrees, replace your 2 pi with a 360. And then you can use it with degrees. So we're going to go ahead and plug our n, r, and theta into our formula up here. So we're going to have the second root of 9, or the square root of 9, which you know is 3. Then we're going to go ahead and plug in your angle, 270 degrees, and then instead of that 2 pi, remember we're going to write 360 times your k over n, which is 2. Now in this case, you could take a 2 out of each one of these. So a 2 out of your 270s, a 135. Your 2 out of your 360s, a 180. So it simplifies down to this. Now all we want to do is to go ahead and plug in our values for k into our formula. So we're going to take and plug stuff into here for k. So we're going to start off by plugging in 0. Well, 0 causes the 180k to drop out, leaves you with just your 35. So you have a 3 cosine of 135 plus I sine of 135. So this is your answer in trig form. However, we didn't start with trig form, so we don't want to leave our answer in the trig form. So we're going to go 3 cosine of 135, you're supposed to have memorized, plus an I times the sine of 135. distribute through. That's really a 3 over 1, so you got to multiply 3 over 1 times each one of these. So then you get your answer here of a negative 3 root 2 over 2 plus a 3I root 2 over 2. That's your answer in rectangular form. We now need to go ahead and work out what it is when we plug in 1 into our formula up here. So plug in 1, well that would be 180 plus 135. So you'd still have your 3 in front, your 180, 135 gives you a 315. And once again, remember both of your angles are the same. Since we didn't start with trig, we want to go ahead and get the rectangular. So we're going to have our 3 in front, your cosine of 315, and your sine of 315. Well, once again, this is a 3 over 1, so you want to go ahead and distribute that through. And so what we have over here on the far right are our answers in rectangular form for what we're looking for. Now, if you want to go ahead and double check yourself, you could. You could just take this big, messy, ugly answer, type it into your calculator, and then square it. And then you would see that you would get a negative 9i. You can do the same thing for the second one to double check your work. So, hope you found this helpful, and we'll talk to you later.